Yo, enough is enough, dog. This dialogue around SGA is mad tiresome, especially when you all decide to pick and choose when y'all actually care about this, especially when it's a game in which it doesn't really even matter. So last night, watching the game on the stream, playback.tv live, right here, /Lowe's Room. Enjoy myself. Great game. Western Conference Finals game 1. OKC putting belt to backside to the Wolves, 114-88. And there was a lot of things to take away from that game. Great defense, high intensity, teams trying to figure out defensive schemes. OKC broke free in that second half. They went on crazy runs, a lot of turnovers. OKC does what OKC does. Like they do what they normally do. And I enjoyed it. Went off, got done with the game, went to react to some things. I'll be uploading on the channel on stream. Cut off the stream, basically went to bed, woke up, first time on the timeline, immediately what I see, oh my God, Shai's free throws. There's a free throw merchant. We also have crazy. Doris Burke in game live actively said this shit was a free throw merchant, which I felt was like tongue in cheek, but also I kind of feel like we dragging it, but it is what it is, right? But for me to sit here and to watch that game, never once did it cross my mind that I was going to complain about Shai and a free throw shooting from him. And yet for that to be somehow the biggest takeaway in said game, I genuinely asked the question, bro, what do y'all want, bro? What do y'all want? Because when it comes to this whole dialogue, when it comes to Shai and free throws and flopping and all that stuff, it has been the most disingenuous conversation in the second half of the NBA season, and it's tiresome. So a couple things, just so everybody knows where I stand with all this. And I feel like I've said this before, but I'm just going to clarify some of my thoughts. And we're also going to go through some of these clips as well, just so you can understand how egregious a lot of this complaining is. For starters, for the people out there who go on Twitter, and this is where it's also disingenuous on the other side, for the people out there who go on Twitter and be like, well, technically, per 100 possessions, Shaq and Giannis, they have, shut up. No one is here trying to claim that there are other players throughout NBA history or other stars throughout NBA history that get fouled more. And when people sit here and they compare Shai to Giannis and Shaq, it's so grossly disingenuous because we all know that teams were purposely fouling those players to prevent them from getting easy twos and send them to the free throw line. It was literally a strategy, right? It was a strategy to foul them. So when I sit here and see people like, oh my God, well, technically speaking, per 100 possessions, bro, put the fucking calculators down. Put the Excel spreadsheets down. Put the PowerPoint down, my brother. Put it down and watch. And when you watch the games, we can all acknowledge Shai invites contact. Shai seeks for contact. Shai flops and flails. We don't need to lie about that. We all see it with our own two eyes. That we all see those things. But with that being also said, just because he does those things doesn't mean that you can then also be on the other side of the people who sit here and look at numbers and box score watch and just say, oh my goodness, Shai got to the free throw line 13, 14 times, and that's my takeaway. No way you fucking do that. Because not only was most of Shai's free throws in the first half, where after the first half, OKC, they were still losing the game. The second half, when things opened up, a lot of the offense that got OKC going had nothing to do with Shai. Nothing to do with him. And this is my problem that really pisses me off in the NBA community, because for whatever reason, this has decided to be the talking point and not the fact of the adjustments that were made in the second half when they decided to move over Rudy Gobert because how piss poor he's been offensively all postseason long. Y'all don't want to talk about the fact that, despite the fact Hartenstein damn near went perfect, he also got pulled as well so they can open up the floor, stress out Minnesota's defense as much as possible, and get easy looks. You don't want to talk about the fact that, and let me put on the screen right here, actually, before we get into these fouls. I don't know why I don't know how they can score 88 points, and for whatever reason, you don't want to bring up Mike Conley, 2 for 8, Naz Reid, 1 for 11, Dante, 3 for 14, Nikhil, 3 for 11. Why do y'all not talk? That's a much bigger problem. Oh, well, this other thing. Oh, my God, they just allow a little physicality, and that's what they do it on one side but not the other. And so when it happens on one side and on the other side, everything messes up. No! Niggas just missing shots. They stink. That's all they did. It was a bad shooting night. To further this point.
Puts them up 17-6.
To further this point, ball swings out. No. Oh, man. Oh, fuck, bro. So much physicality on the screen right now when Nas take this shot. Because that's the reason why he missed it. Here we go, bringing the ball up, swing over. All right. Oh, my. Oh, so much physicality loud on OKC's side, but not the other side. That's the reason why they got out of rhythm. Nigga, it was the first quarter, and some of these players couldn't make their shots. Bad shooting night. Or, you might have to start talking about why Anthony Edwards shot 5 for 13. I don't know why this is, but for whatever reason, many of you all love to jump the gun and start comparing them to Kobe, Wade, and Jordan. And then as soon as they have games like these, they stink it up. But for whatever reason, y'all want to pivot to free throws. So, to prove to people that, bro, this was not about free throws. This had nothing to do with it. We're going to then, or flopping, we're going to watch all of these fouls that occurred throughout this game. And I'm going to show you, no, brother. Not only were some of these legitimate fouls, but more importantly, this did not determine the outcome of this game, nor should it be the biggest takeaway of said game. So here's the first foul. And I must admit, it was a little choppy early on, and that's something that I did not like when I was watching it live. But bro, after like the first 5 minutes, that was it. that was basically it.
Doris, they had to be crazy just to play again at this time of year to go almost a week without playing.
No doubt, Mike. And what you like?
That's a foul. Sorry to tell you. If it's not a foul, we have to then refresh 30, 40 years of basketball. That's a foul. So that's foul number 1. I think that we all agree that's a foul. That's why no one shrugged their arms. That's why nobody did anything. It's a foul. So that's foul number 1. We go to foul number 2. All right.
Not giving up an easy 2 in a conference final.
Gilgeous-Alexander this time.
I don't think that's a foul. Don't think that's a foul.
And draws the foul.
But Ant throwing the ball at him after he gets fouled, that doesn't help at all. That doesn't help at all. Okay, so that's 1-1. Here's another possession. Screen set.
SGA trying to draw a foul.
That is a foul. Now you can sit here and argue, well, we're in the playoffs, so you got the playoffs is when things, and that's understandably so. Okay, so let's say hypothetically speaking, I give that to you. It's 1-2 now. Here we go again.
Gilgeous-Alexander falls down. Edwards right.
If you look at this play, and unfortunately don't show the whole thing, Ant has pushed Shai on the floor. Just so when y'all sit there and say they don't allow physicality, Ant has somehow found a way to push Shai on the floor. And then as Shai gets up, Ant doesn't back up to allow him to get up. He just literally parks himself right on top of him like he's mounting him. But they don't allow the physicality. Then, when he actually gets up, he then proceeds to push him. That's a foul. It's been a foul. So, okay. And also, we're in a bonus. I want you all to realize that this is the end of the second quarter. It's done already. It's done. It's done. Shai in that first half had 9 free throws. The rest of the way, He barely has any free throws the rest of the way. But we go to the next stop. Next possession. Shai bringing the ball up. J-Mac throws his body into him. It's a foul.
Whistle and a foul.
That's why nobody's, I don't know, none of that is going on. It's just a foul. That's a foul. Okay, so there it is. That's another foul. So now it's 3-2. Okay. Here we go again.
Daniels.
Jaden's pushing up on his hips.
Making it difficult for Gilgeous-Alexander. Gets inside, pulls back, he stumbled a bit.
I don't think that's a foul. However, Shai still makes the shot. He still makes the shot. He still makes it. So even if you want to say that shouldn't be rewarded with a free throw, he still made the shot. So it doesn't alter if he scores the points or not. Okay. Here we are again.
Second three for DiVincenzo. Foul. Shot.
That is a foul. And the other angle, you can see Ant pull his arm as he drives. That's a foul. But again, he made the shot. So he will still put points on the board. Still put points on the board. So there's that. And then, here's another time in transition.
Randall drives on Dort.
Julius Randle in the post.
Backs in.
Chair gets pulled.
Backs in. Tries to
Turns
stop
the ball
defense and
over.
lost the ball.
I do not think this is a foul. However,
Foul. Bucket. Count it.
he made the bucket as well. He made it already. He made it. So I don't, when y'all sit here and complain about these things, I don't know what is there to complain about. The brother made 3 and 1s in the second half. 3 of them. Oh, there's one more. Oh yeah, this was another one where that was a very clear foul.
Mike, I think they're 4 for.
Shai bringing the ball up. He starts dancing on Jaden. Start dancing on him. Jaden is all loose legs, don't know what to do. In between the leg. And that's a foul. That's another foul. A very clear foul. That's why nobody shrugged it. I don't know. It's a foul. So, majority of the possessions that we just went over were fouls. I don't know what to tell y'all. Stop fouling that man. Are there times where he flopped and flailed where he should not have gotten a call? Yes. It just so happens, though, in this game, even in the times in which he flopped and flailed, he still made the bucket. So even if they didn't give him the free throw, he still would have scored the points. Now I know what people are going to sit here and say, low. It's not about that. It's about the stance that they have moving forward. It's about the tone in which they set, because now Minnesota can't be physical. I'm sorry to tell you this, but the reason why they start going on a scoring run in the second half isn't because Minnesota couldn't be physical anymore. It's because, again, they were over-leveraging themselves in terms of floor spacing and trying to get Gobert in bad positioning. That's the reason why Gobert was limited with the amount of minutes he played in the second half. Matter of fact, to further this point, not only did Gobert play a limited minutes in the second half, but so did Hartenstein. Gobert played 10 minutes in the entire second half, only 5 for iHeart. Only 5. So they played a smaller lineup, put Chet at the 5, spaced out the floor, and really stressed out everything that was Minnesota was doing and made them defend in space, which is a sidebar, is the weakness of the Timberwolves. Having them rotate, trying to defend in space, that is a weakness of them. That's the reason why, even when Curry wasn't playing in last series, they had a hard time keeping up. But when we sit here and talk about this narrative shit, you miss out on those things. You miss out on them. But to further the point, because there's this lie that's going on, it was a lack of physicality that allowed them to really get things going and start to blow things up in the second half. No. A, Minnesota was turning the ball over willy-nilly, and B, the Thunder either start making some hell of a shots or they start moving the ball around and start knocking down their threes. That's it. That's the reason why their offense got going. They were either getting easy looks in transition, or they were just making some crazy shots, or they were getting quality looks by either bad defensive possessions or they were just knocking down threes. Let's further prove the point. I'm going to show y'all what happened, because when you walk around 70 points in the second half, it's 70 points in the second half. Shout out to OKC. That second half was miraculous. But just so y'all are aware of what happened, just so you can see what happened, first possession, first points being scored. As you can see, score still favors Minnesota. Shai is already in a box. So don't tell me that Shai is the reason why. Oh, they couldn't allow physicality. Shai's in a box. Julius Randle helps one pass away. Open three. You make the shot. That's bad defense. Nothing to do with physicality. That's just bad defense. Shai's moving. We talked about this. Oh, he got box, bump, hook, easy. Easy. Nothing to do with physicality. That's just nice, easy, simple basketball. That's it. Hold on, we can't get copyright claim. Hold on. This is the step back where we didn't think it was a foul, but Shai still made the shot. Here's a tough float from Hartenstein. Tough float for Hartenstein. Nothing to do with physicality. Actually, partially because how physical it was, they had to rely on Hartenstein to go back to his floater bag. I don't know what you want there from there. Here's J-Dub with the tough shot as well, because how physical the defense is. Step back, easy. Step back, okay. This right here was actually the craziest one. I'm gonna full screen this right here. J-Dub getting his bag. I mean, my goodness, that's just a tough shot. It's a tough shot. That's a tough shot, bro. I don't know what else y'all want from this. That's a tough shot. Now, I think we've seen these two before, but I want you to notice Shai right here, 4:52 in the third quarter. Shai scores there, only scores two more times until the 7-minute mark in the fourth. Now, what happened in this stretch in between? Shai, he just manipulates the game so much. You can't allow him to be physical. He comes down, he gets touched. Shai is all the way at the fucking logo. How do they score here? Tough lay from J-Dub. Next possession. Shai just sitting there. Rotation, rotation, rotation. He doing some shit he normally don't do, but this is when Gobert was on and they just start having him in rotation. Okay, next possession. I remember this as well. You come down, screen set, bad read because two players are now on the ball. One pass away makes the shot. It's so much. It's so much lack of physical. No. We continue. Come down. I think this is one of the Shai shots. Yeah, we already looked at these two. Go over here to Chet. Again, Shai not even on the court anymore. Shai not even here anymore. Dante gets slapped by Mike Conley. So now you got one man down. Pass, swing over. And that's a great contest. Great contest. He still just made the three. That's just a tough shot. And this is what they were doing. They were getting quality looks. Next play. Here we go. I remember this possession. A physical play. J-Dub nearly drops the ball, breaks up a little bit. Pass over to Caruso. He makes a three. Dotting on the I. Brother, I'm sorry. I just don't know what to tell y'all, bro. I don't know what to tell y'all. Mind you, Shai not even in the game. Shai's not even in the game. He's not even in the game. Sorry for the back and forth too. You know, you gotta avoid the copies. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, A little bit of defensive physicality here. Nearly turn the ball over, get the ball, dump, cut, backdoor cut, easy. And that's something that Chet learned in that last series. He was not doing enough. Shai's now back in the game, double drag. I don't know. I just don't know what people are want to gathering from this. And the reason why I'm stopping it here is because at this point, we're now looking at the double-digit lead that they were able to build, and obviously just keeps building more and more and more, and Shai's back in the game. But as you can clearly see, before Shai even got back in the game, even when he was in the game the last couple possessions, he wasn't a part of the offense enough for you to come to conclusions about this. And so when people want to complain about something, they'll complain about it without putting into context that should not have been the conclusion that you drawn, nor did it really have that much of an impact in this game. But this is a 26-point blowout. You niggas are complaining about 3 or 4 possessions. That's what y'all are complaining about. Even if you think it set the tone for how it got played for the rest of the game, I just showed you the possessions in which they were able to mount that massive lead, and it had nothing to do with the lack of physicality. Bad defensive plays, easy turnovers lead to transition points. They stressing out Minnesota's defense by going a little bit smaller with Chet at the corner. So Rudy Gobert is put in rotation, had to pull him off the floor. It was a lot of strategy that came along with why the offense worked the way that it did. Not because Shai went downhill and he was able to get to the free throw line, and that's the reason why they won the game, or that even played a major focal point of it. I'm getting tired of people coming to said conclusions when that's not what should have been drawn in this game. No way you sat there and saw Mike Conley, Nikhil. Nikhil, I don't know what's wrong with you, brother, but you've been shooting terrible all playoffs long. Matter of fact, same with Dante. Both of y'all have been shooting terrible all playoff long. But in a game in which, I got to find it, here we go. In a game in which the Wolves struggled to score 85 points, only made 14 field goals in the second half, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, Nikhil Walker-Alexander, and Dante DiVincenzo combined for 9 for 44 from the field. Ant struggled all game long. The audacity for you to talk about free throws when most of which came in the first half, where afterwards the Thunder were still losing. And you think that's the conclusion that is worth drawing? No. 2 excellent defensive teams, one of which is going to get schemed against, where their best defensive player or potentially most impactful defensive player in Rudy Gobert got off the floor. That opened up the floodgates. That allowed a substantial margin at the rim because that piece wasn't there anymore. While on the other side, you can still play Chet in his rim protection because how valuable he is as an offensive weapon. Alex Caruso had Anthony Edwards in a box. Both J-Dub and Shai start making tough shots in the second half that they weren't making in the first, even through physicality. 3-point shooting started to fall a little bit more for OKC, while Minnesota continued to struggle on that end. There's just no way that free throws will be the first thing you ran to the timeline to complain about. And again, I want to be clear. This is not me saying that we should completely push aside Shai flopping and flailing and get back to some of these calls being no calls because we're in the playoffs. I understand it. But after the first 5 minutes of this game, the rest of the game, there really was no problem with Shai flopping and flailing. 2 or 3 more calls that should have gone either a no call or maybe an offensive call, but Shai made the shots anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And throughout an overall compass of what happened, the lack of physicality or the inconsistent physicality on one end or the other did not represent the outcome of made shots or not, because we can go through all of the wide open missed shots from Nikhil, from Dante, from Naz, from Mike Conley that made it significantly more difficult for Anthony Edwards to get to where he needed to get to in terms of his drives. And that's a huge reason why, well, if we're not getting floor spacing from these guys, we can't play Rudy, which then made it even more difficult for them to defend on the other side. That is the takeaway, not free throws. Again, I understand those people who sit there and tell you, well, technically, Giannis and Shaq and Kobe and Jordan, those people are annoying. Because we all need to just accept the fact that, yes, Shai flops, he flails. But that should not be the takeaway of the game. That did not determine the game. Them niggas shooting 9 for 44 is what determined the game. Turning the ball over, they turned the ball over like 12 times in the first half. That's what determined the game. Let me see something real quick. In the second half. How many times they turned the ball over in the second half? They turned the ball over 8 times in the second half. 2 for Nas, 2 for Ant, 2 for Julius Randle, 1 from Jaden, 1 from Gobert. And Gobert only played 10 minutes. He still turned the ball over. That's what determined the game. Once Gobert got off the floor, how many points were they allowing in the paint? That's what determined the game. 54-20. That's what determined the game. I get Anthony Edwards, Shai, y'all want to see a fair back and forth. But I promise you, Shai still had to make tough shots in this game, which is what he did in the second half, and Ant didn't. Supporting cast members needed to knock down their shots. Caruso, Chet, J-Dub, Kendrick William came off the bench. He made threes. The other side didn't. Adjustments need to be made. One side did, the other one couldn't. That's the reason why one team won, the other team lost. And that should be the takeaway, not free throws. So, it should get tiresome, dog. Please just let's wrap it up.